overlook some of those things that are very common. A lot of people talk, oh, MDAs. So money is being released to MDAs. What are their meanings? So that's why the segment is there, to further educate us. You see, even some people don't know the meaning of CBN, Central Bank of Nigeria. Then let alone pass who is the minister of what portfolio. So that's why that segment is there. All right. At this point, Mr. Chukwu is joining me from Lagos, the nation's commercial nerve center. Mr. Chukwu, good morning. Welcome to the program. How are you doing?
Thank you.
How are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing great. And you?
I'm well, thank you. Thank you for joining us. Yeah, I know you have a very tight schedule, but let's just chat for a few minutes about the upcoming African Economic Congress. So many things to talk about. The advert just a few minutes ago. You're a member of the board of the African Economic Congress. Why? Because that's the event right now, next Monday to Wednesday in Abuja. Speak to us about it.
Well, thank you, Nancy. The very reason I accepted to be a member of the board of the African Economic Congress is because of the primary objective of that Congress. They call it right from the entry, the main purpose for which the Congress is being held, or the organizers are organizing their conference. And it draws largely from the statement made by the president of Rwanda, Kagame, that it is now Africa's development is now dependent, not going to be dependent on aid, but it's going to be dependent on investment. So the key thing about the Congress is that we want to bring investors into the country. We want to bring investors within African continent to speak with themselves. We want the investors to interface with fellow investors from Eastern Europe and Asia, as well as Western Europe. The basic thing is that the economies of Africa will only grow if they begin to trade among themselves, and if our focus is on attracting investment. And if you look at some of the areas the Congress is focusing on, areas like agriculture, areas like new economy technology, blockchain technology, entertainment, engagement, involvement of women in economic activities, and then how the policies of business will interfere with the policies of governance. I mean, there's the governance section. And most importantly, we will see some of the key decision leaders in Africa and beyond going to be participants at the conference. You know that the Vice President of Kenya, Mr. William Ruto, is going to be part of that conference. He'll be coming into the country on Sunday, and we're sitting throughout the session starting from Monday to Wednesday.
It's a very ambitious one, so to speak, especially as we move towards to 2063, the AU Agenda 2063. You've just talked about what the Congress seeks to achieve. Are there other things that, especially for people that are registering now, because a lot of people have been calling, a lot of people have also gone to the website to register. Are there other things that participants can also take away from the Congress that is happening at the Yarodo Center on Monday through Wednesday?
Yes, several. Let me put it that way. Starting from the fact that participants will have the opportunity of meeting with business leaders as well as policymakers, and then we'll be drawing directly from these business leaders and policymakers the direction of policy as well as the best practices in business, in running businesses. There will be opportunities for participants to meet with some successful African business leaders who will kind of mentor them on what works and what does not work. So it will be a face-to-face, one-on-one meeting on the sidelines, as well as listening to discussants speak from their own wealth of experiences. For me, there will be a lot of take-home for participants. Like I mentioned earlier, the opportunity of interacting and listening to those who have done those things well and the things you want to do. Successful business leaders who have actually started and run business in the country, irrespective of the challenges within the economic environment. policymakers that will be speaking on the direction of policies, and new economy leaders in technology-based businesses, leaders in blockchain technologies, that people will participate will have a meeting them and listening to them.
It's really so clear, because I think perhaps one of the I would say one of the points of creating this platform, and let me also say I'm the co-founder, you're a member of our board, and it's you know, it's so I wouldn't say it's a coincidence, because it's deliberate, that we have people, different people across the panel sessions that we'll be discussing. Of course, so many panel sessions in those 3 days. A lot of people have said, oh, so many panel sessions, how are you going to do that? You know, but when I read or when I listened to Kwame Nkrumah of Ghana, he did say, of course, when he was alive, that it is clear that African solutions lies with Africans, and perhaps that is also part of what this Congress will seek to address.
Yes, Nathan, that brings me to, I think I need to commend you as the initiator of this Congress, and for the level of the work and commitment you put into it. The reality is that we can no longer afford to sit on the fence, which is one of the motivations for me when you approach me and said as part of the Board of Trustees. It has gotten to a point where those changes we want to see, we need to be the initiator of those changes, or we need to be participants in those changes. We are not going to sit on our palms and wait for anybody to come and develop our country. If there are issues or areas you think things are not being done right, you have a duty to come in and try to do those things right. And if there are things you want to see in your state, you have to be the change agent that will drive that, which is why I said I have to commend you for initiating this African Economic Congress. For those of us who are going to be participants, I think it will be an opportunity for us to, one, share our knowledge and experiences, two, also learn from those who have done it better than us and who have done it in other areas where we may not have the competency, as well as also get the younger generations to see the values of one, hard work, two, commitment, three, driving economic transformation, and then it will be a meeting point for policymakers and policy drivers, as well as those of us who are on the other side of working with those policies, to interact and shape the policies that will encourage faster economic development in Africa.
You know, it's so germane that you mentioned that it's not we shouldn't sit on the fence anymore to perhaps criticize. We should also part of the solution drivers, and perhaps that's why this African Economic Congress is coming up on Monday, November 4th to November 6th. You did talk about some of the sessions. Which one will you be participating in? Let me. Which one will you be participating in? Because we have a lot of speakers. In fact, we were taking a look at them yesterday, because the Congress, as it were, is a Congress of panel sessions. We're bringing in a lot of people. Yesterday, we were just looking at over 70 speakers, so to speak, different sessions. It's heartbreaking. But we're going to do it. We're going to jump into the waters. So, Mr. Chukwu, which one are you going to be on? I know you're going to be here on Monday, but which one are you going to participate? What is that session about?
Well, I'll be participating at the private business operator section. And that basically is going to be a session where private business operators will be discussing the factors that drive economic success or business success, the impediments to business success, and how to leave those impediments. Our approach will not be to just reel out challenges. It is to also share, because I'm also happy that some policymakers, some people from the National Assembly will be joining that panel discussion. We're going to be sharing with them those things we think need to be done to further improve our economic environment. A couple of things have been done so far. We've seen improvements in areas like ease of doing business, where we jumped 15 places from 146 to 131. And I'm happy that the person who is driving the presidential initiative for improvement and economic environment or ease of doing business. Dr. Jumoke will be part of that.
Yeah, she'll be on your session.
My section.
Yes.
So there will be opportunity for us to commend her for what she has done. I also recommend to her what she needs to do further. We'll also be passing our information across to the government on NGLS how to improve on ease of doing business. But most importantly, we will be sharing with audience and participants the opportunities that are available to anybody who wants to do business in Africa, starting from Nigeria through the north and east part of Africa, as well as the southern part of Africa. We will be highlighting the attractiveness of Africa as an investment destination, and we'll also be speaking on how to further enhance that attractiveness so that ultimately the growth objective and economic growth objective of the African continent will be realized.
Yeah, you know, it's really so interesting because when you look at Africa as a continent, and I'm wondering why we can't do better than we're doing right now. And just like you said, it was one of those things, of course, having this platform for a very long time now, talking business, not just in Nigeria, but across Africa, seeking to improve Africa. Because like this morning, just before I came into the studio, I was with the Kenyan High Commissioner, the Kenyan ambassador, and he offered us tea. I am my team members. And you know what? I'm not really a tea person, as it were, but I had to take tea because he said that is the culture, that in fact, if I do not take tea as I'm leaving his office this morning, there will be problem. And we got talking, chatting, and said, okay, fine, I took the tea. And he did tell me that Kenyan tea is the best tea, that Kenyan tea will be exported, and it comes back. I don't want to call the brand name, but we should know the popular brand tea in Nigeria, for example. We all buy it. He said, that is Kenyan tea. He did tell me, for example, that all the flowers that are gotten in London every morning are being exported from Kenya. The Arabica coffee from Kenya, and it comes back as a very popular brand coffee. Why can't we harness this? Why can't we do better than this? And that is also one of the reasons why this African Economic Congress is being put together. We call it an African family meeting. Let's come together. We are not saying the rest of the world should go, but let us talk to ourselves as brothers and sisters, so perhaps we would understand ourselves. Because when I entered his office this morning, he greeted me in Swahili, Karibu. He said, welcome. So I learned a new language this morning. So what is the essence of this African Economic Congress as it relates to developing Africa more than it is right now? Of course, a lot of people will say it's talk, talk, talk again, but is it talking with a difference?
Well, the key thing is even before you start you must talk. I mean, they tell you that in the military cycle, they tell you the battle is won on the strategic level. What we'll be doing is setting what you may call redefining the direction of policy as it relates to business in Africa. And so we think that I'm call it that way. And the basic thing is that like a economy like Kenya has actually been able to position their country as one of the hottest horticultural bases in the world of producer of flowers and horticultural materials globally. And they did not just end at that. They have also set up the logistics that makes it possible for you to wake up in Amsterdam and then you buy a fresh flower from Kenya. And because beyond the issue of producing those items, you also have to deal with the logistics. It's a great factor that will drive economic progress in Africa. Issue of policy, issue of infrastructure, issue of when you talk of the logistic infrastructure, like transport infrastructure, you talk of the enabling laws, you talk of the policies and regulations, and you also talk about the availability of funding. I'm happy that there's also a banking section along the line as part of the Economic Congress program. And then we'll be speaking with the bank chief executives, and we'll be sharing with them